Hello students, now we shall discuss module 2, that is advances in energy systems. So as I had told, I will be referring this book in Environmental Science 11th edition by G. Tyler Miller Jr. So this book basically is a interdisciplinary study of how nature works, how we interact with nature, and how we can live more sustainably. First word, I think, sustainably. This has to be understood by one and all. So what is sustainable? Sustainable means it should not only be economically viable, socially acceptable, but environmentally also it should be benign, means it should not damage the environment. So we call sustainable growth. Sustainable growth means growth which can be sustained and which takes care of the economics, which takes care of the society as well as the environment, not at the cost of any one of them. No. Okay. So we shall look into this textbook. Lot of learning tools are available online also. A lot of like this book also you will get it on online. Okay. And lot of people have contributed for this textbook basically. So first we should look at why we should study environmental science. Please understand that we have enjoyed whatever Mother Nature, Mother Earth has given us all along. Okay? Whatever you see today, whatever air you breathe, the water you drink, okay, the plants, the animals, whatever food you have is all provided by Mother Nature. Today in the pandemic era, a lot of discussions is now going on about Mother Nature. Unfortunately, over the years, people have taken earth for granted, and the only quest of man was to make money and go for development. And in the process of development, I think even in Karwar and Goa, it is very much visible that lot of damage has been done to the Mother Earth, and you can see that there is pollution of land, water, air, and hence this pace cannot be sustained. It is our moral responsibility that whatever we have taken from the Mother Earth, we should give the Mother Earth in the same condition to our generations to come. So all the generations should enjoy the same quality of air, same quality of water, even better. Okay. And definitely this earth should be a better place to live. So in this module 2, we shall look at advances in the energy systems, that is hydrogen, solar, voltaic, tidal and wind energy, and also we should look at natural resource management, disaster management, sustainable mining, cloud seeding and carbon trading. Maybe you are new to many of the words, but believe me, they are all simple terminologies. They are nothing great or rocket science here. Whatever we discuss should be very, very simple. Now you see, let us see what is the natural capital. See, whatever man has taken out now, important non-renewable energy resources that can be removed from the earth's crust are coal, oil, natural gas and some forms of geothermal energy. Non-renewable uranium ore is also extracted from the earth crust and then processed to increase its concentration of uranium-235, which can serve as a fuel in the nuclear reactors to produce electricity. So please see this diagram here. So you can see that oil and natural gas is coming from the top. Okay. Then you have oil storage. Then oil drilling platforms are also there, onshore as well as offshore. Offshore means in the oceans. Then you have oil wells, gas well. Okay, and you can see that natural gas, oil, water. So for everything there is a pump or oil well, gas well. And then you have got coal mines. Coal mines also, you have got two types of coal mines. You can see opposite direction they are given. One is open cast, like in the back side you can see contour strip mining. Contour strip mining, this is open mining. The second one is the underground coal mine. That is also there. The mined coal is kept on the top. And then here you have got that geothermal energy. What is geothermal energy? It is simple, nothing but there is hot rocks in the center of the earth, and because of that hot rocks you have got heat energy available there. So what we do is simply we will drill two holes and provide two pipelines. We will send water through one of the pipeline. It will go take up the heat from the molten rocks, hot rocks or magma, convert it to steam, and that will come up. And this steam will use in the conventional Rankine cycle power plant, which produces electricity. Okay, very simple it is. So these are all what man in the course of his development, I think last 300-400 years. So he found, earlier man was using only wood, then he found coal, better quality. Oh, this gives lot of heat. Then he started this open mining. Subsequently he went for underground coal mines, and as the technology developed he started drilling for oil and gas. So you can see these are all the sources, natural capital available. This is not made by us or our forefathers, it is made by Mother Nature over millions of years. And once we exhaust all this solid, liquid or gaseous fuel, then we will not have any kind of fossil fuels. And that is why now people have taken the route of renewable energy, be it wind energy or solar energy. Just one slide says it all. Now you can see here the renewable energy, this is an old figure but still valid. Renewable energy percentage of contribution to the world is only 18%, and that too in that 18%, that 11% is wood biomass, that is wood and cow dung, this agriculture residues. 1/3, that is 33%, is through oil. Coal constitutes 22%. Natural gas also almost similar, 21%. Nuclear power is 6%, and hydropower, solar, wind, they all constitute 7%. So in the total energy mix, only renewable is 18%, non-renewable is 82%, and in the non-renewable main is oil, coal and gas. So this is the breakup. So now you can understand whatever we have shown in the earlier diagram. We are taking out oil, coal and natural gas, and please understand it is fixed quantity. This is a very beautiful diagram which shows the shift in the use of commercial energy sources in the US since 1800 with the projected changes up to 2100. So from last 220 years you can see this. I think this development started 200 years back. Now very nicely this is depicted so that you will appreciate what has happened over these 200 years. And shift from wood to coal. See, if you look at 1800, and these are y-axis is in, x-axis is the year 1800, 1875, 1950, 2025 and 2100. So the 75 years each, and the y-axis is the percentage, means what was the main contributor of this at that time. So if you know, remember our ancestors, they use wood, firewood and all, wood, and around 1800, that time only that coal, the steam era started. So the coal percentage is hardly 10%, but 90% was wood only. A man was very primitive that time. Agriculture was the main livelihood. But once this, after 1800, the industrialization started, and that industry 1.0, and because of that the steam engines they came into picture, and then there was a shift from wood to coal. Okay. Then you can see from 1800 to 1875 the wood drastically has come down. By 1950 almost it is very low, but the coal started increasing from 1800 to 1875. It reached the peak, and again now coal is slightly reducing its share. But as coal is reducing, oil, first man found out coal, thereafter he found out oil, and you can see from 1875 oil started rising. The curve, these are all like, we call them bell-shaped curves. We have a peak in the center, and then either sides it is tapering down. So there is a shift from coal to oil and natural gas, and each has taken about 50 years. So now they are projecting, US Department of Energy, DOE, is projecting that there may be shift from this conventional fuels to solar and hydrogen economy by 2100. Now we are in 2020. Okay, so let us take this 2025 scenario. We are close to that. You can see natural gas is there around 50%. Then oil is around 20%, coal is slightly less than that, and nuclear energy also is there around 10%. So this is a mix presently, and by 2100 what is projected is gas will be there, and this renewable energy like hydrogen and solar, that will be gaining importance. Solar definitely is gaining importance. You can see a small line after around 1975 it started. It is gaining momentum and rising. The graph is rising, still rising, and India also has lot of installed capacity of solar now, and in 2100 it will be mostly solar, natural gas, and oil and coal will come down, considerably come down. Just one small sketch how these fossil fuels we refine, like refining crude oil. So when we drill in the earth crust, we will get a black, dark viscous oil that is called as crude oil. And based on the boiling points, components are removed at various levels in a giant distillation column. You can see that tall, this one is called a distillation column. The most volatile components with the lowest boiling points are removed at the top of the column. So you can see when you heat that crude oil, it goes to the fractional distillation column, and the topmost is gases what you get. Then the second is gasoline, third is the aviation fuel, fourth is heating oils, then diesel, then naphtha, grease and wax, and lastly that black bitumen asphalt which we use for road making. This petroleum or crude oil comes out from the ground is a thick and gooey liquid consisting of hundreds of combustible hydrocarbons along with small amounts of sulfur, oxygen and nitrogen impurities. So main burning components of these hydrocarbons are petroleum is hydrocarbon, that is hydrogen and carbon, and these all small amounts of sulfur, nitrogen, these are all impurities. Even small sketch on the coal, different types of coal it is shown. The best one is anthracite coal, that is very hard coal. But the next is bituminous coal, that is soft coal, but has high sulfur content. The lower is lignite, that is low heat content, low sulfur. And very crude form is peat, we call it peat, it is not a coal. It is a partially decayed plant matter, and over the years this first peat, when we apply heat and pressure naturally underground, it gets converted to lignite, and over the years again under the pressure of heat and pressure it gets converted into bituminous coal, and lastly the best quality coal is the anthracite coal, which is very hard and has got high heating value. So this is about nuclear energy, how a nuclear power plant works. This I have kept basically because, as I was telling about geothermal energy, everywhere you just look at this sketch here, you can see nuclear mein left side is that is a reactor. Okay, from there it is coming to the steam generator. You can see there is a pump and there is a heat exchanger. So this geothermal also energy will give it to the heat exchanger. Whatever heat this steam is coming from the bottom of the earth is coming and heating this heat exchanger. So the water is converted into steam that goes to the turbine. You can see the turbine, tapered structured turbine, and the turbine rotates, and the turbine is coupled to the generator which produces electricity. Now after turbine it gets expanded in the, after expansion in the turbine the steam gets cooled in the condenser. Again it is converted to liquid and pumped back to the heat exchanger. Similar one is there in the geothermal energy also. Here in a nuclear we have got a left side, you can see nuclear reactor where the nuclear fission reaction takes place and it produces heat, and this heat only we are using to in the heat exchanger to produce steam. So ultimately whether the heat is produced by the nuclear reaction or is produced by the burning of coal or oil, the main thermal energy means we have a heat exchanger, or we can call it boiler, which converts water into steam, high pressure high temperature steam, which is expanded in the turbine. Turbine rotates and accordingly electrical energy is produced. Now let us look at